So off the back of this video, where I've just spoke about your nutrition target, MyFitnessPal and using food scales, I've got a little bit more information to pass on. So this is how we start tracking food. So this is understanding where we're currently at with our food and where we want to go. So how do we start building up a diet plan and a routine that's going to be successful for us? So for me, personally, I like to begin with foods that I currently eat that aren't too bad. So if you've just come into the gym, I typically will ask you, okay, how's your breakfast looking, how's your lunch, and how's your tea? So I might get the response of, oh, well, I typically will have a bowl of cereal, and then I'll have a cup of coffee on the way to work, and then I'll maybe have an apple or a banana in the morning for a snack, and then lunchtime, I'll try and have a meal deal or a sandwich or something quick and easy and simple because I don't like to be too full during work. When I get home, I then sort of eat a bit out of control, so I'll start snacking with chocolates. Tea, I'll just make whatever I've got in the fridge, and that might be like bolognese, or it could be a ready cooked meal that's curry and all this stuff. So I'm loaded there with a bit of information in my arsenal, okay? So I can start building from this that the person has certain ways of eating. So the person said they don't like to be full within work. So if you're not someone who likes to be full in work, don't start eating a big breakfast, okay? You don't need to change that. So if you like cereal currently, try switching it up to oats, where you've got slightly better options, or granola. So there are options out there where they're a bit better. If you like your cereal that much, then maybe just think about adding a source of protein in, because you've got a protein target to hit. So that could be a protein shake or a yogurt. So just being smarter with the selections of foods. Remember, protein and calories, that's what we're focused on to begin with. So don't worry too much about your fats and your carbs and the sugars at the moment, okay? Once we start getting this under control consistently, that's when we can start stepping in and making the adjustments on the small stuff. Now, moving on to lunch, obviously I've spoke about preparing your meals and double cooking. So you need to be going into work prepared. You can't be showing up to work and going, oh, I'm just gonna nip to the shop and grab whatever, because if you are grabbing those ready meal curries and stuff like that, eventually over time, it's not going to be as sustainable, okay? It's going to be difficult to track. There might be times where it's sold out. There might be times where, with the meal deal, they might not have the sandwiches in and all that stuff. So don't go into work unprepared. Be as prepared as you need to be, okay? So in terms of lunch, prepare your food. That's what I recommend to everyone. If you want to take this serious, your goal has to be that big that you're willing to make lunch the night before or the weekend before the work starts, okay? Your goals have to mean that much to you. If you don't do it, they don't mean that much to you. So that's literally how much you value yourself, okay? So if you do want to make a change, you've got to be able to do this stuff, okay? That's why I've done that video separate, is because you've got to be willing to do that to make the beginning, okay? Now moving on to their tea time, their evening, that's where they're putting in a lot of their calories, so that's quite beneficial for them. So they might want to train after work and then have a big meal after. That's perfect, okay? That's a routine that we want. You might train first thing in the morning, and then that bit of cereal with a protein shake is still a really good way to recover from training. So don't be worried about when you train and all this stuff. These are things you worry about later on down the line, okay? They're small margins that don't matter much towards your progress as a beginner, okay? So as a beginner, you just want to nail the basics, which are your targets, okay? So with your tea time, just pick options that you enjoy. So for me, I really enjoy having eggs with my breakfast, okay? So I'm different from cereal. So I like having eggs, sausage, bagel, okay? That's perfect for me for breakfast. I have enough time to make that. Base it off what's suitable for you. If you don't have enough time and you don't like that food, don't have it, okay? Then for lunch, if you're vegan or vegetarian, then obviously you're not going to be having chicken and beef, are you? So make it realistic off the options that you like and enjoy. Choose your favourite things. For me, I love chicken. I literally can have chicken every single day. So that's usually my lunch, chicken wraps. Chicken with a bit of cheese, some sauce in there. There's not even, some people go, oh my God, that's not healthy, you're having sauce and cheese. I enjoy it, so it's in there. It fits within my diet. I've got into shape doing it. I'm not going to tell you to change, because I myself, I like certain foods. I'm not getting them out of there, okay? So cheese, that's still in my diet because I love cheese. Then things like moving on to my tea time, I then go, right, okay, I've had chicken for lunch. I don't really want chicken for tea. I might do some days, but chances are I'm not going to. So then I go into something like beef. So then I can have steaks, or I can have burgers, or I can have bolognese. Just make the options variable. It's not always just chicken, rice, and broccoli. It's just not always, eggs. Like, I like to have different combinations. And then obviously there's times where I go out for a meal and I have something completely different, like fish and chips. Do you know what I mean? So it's just stuff like this where you've got to be aware. That's why tracking is important, because you just know where you're at. So if I went out and had my fish and chips, and then my total calories for the day were 2,600, and I realised I've gone 500 calories over my target, guess what I'm going to do in the next 2 days? I'm going to take 250 calories off. So I take my target down to adjust for that. So I take 250 calories off, I'm on the 1,850 for the next 2 days. And then guess what? My calories balance out then, and my protein as well. I do the same. So this is why we track to begin with. I get you used to tracking, even making a food diary, because it tells you what foods you can repeatedly eat over time. So that means what's going to stay on your food shopping list and what's going to come off. So things like frozen potato waffles and pizzas and all the frozen southern fried chicken skewers that you have, they're all going to start coming off your food list, because guess what? They're not going to be taking you towards your nutrition target, okay? So you're going to understand, I like my chicken strips, so maybe make that into a healthier option where I like my chicken in a different meal, in a different sauce. So that's why we track to begin with. We see where you're at, and then we look at where can we move towards. And it's all baby steps. It's all taking off bites that we can accept each time, okay? We're not biting off too much for what we can chew. We want to be accurate with moving forward. You don't want to be taking on too much stress, like I've said before. If you're stressing about 4 or 5 things at once, the last thing that you want to do is then have to write down all your food and all this stuff, okay? So we make it digestible. We've got work life, we've got sleep, we've got exercise, we've got all these other things going on. We don't want to have to stress about food. We just want to enjoy it, have the meal, replenish ourselves, and feel good. Okay.